What's up guys, it's V Renee. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. As always, there are links in the description below if you'd like to help support the Black Lives Matter movement. There are petitions you can sign, places you can donate, things you can do if you have absolutely no money but still want to help, resources to educate yourself on how to be a better ally, and ways to contact your representatives. Black Lives Matter, defund the police. Please enjoy the video. We did very little makeup today because our hair is doing the most. Do you see this? I spent 20 minutes yesterday washing you, conditioning you, moussing you, oiling you, and you do me like this. Bellatrix Lestrange has entered the chat. Guys, I'm working on the setup, okay? I have gotten a ring light and a tripod and a remote and a new, I'm trying to figure it out, okay? I want to get rid of this squeaky chair and give you the quality that you deserve, although if you expect quality out of me, you're clearly very new. Hi, welcome. Prepare to be disappointed. Today we're going to be talking about Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick. First thing, I was super stoked that this was only 30 chapters because After was 90 something and Crave was 60 something, so I was excited for a short and sweet ride. It was short, it was not sweet. The overwhelming critique that I have of this book, and there are quite a few, but the overwhelming one is that this felt like two separate books. She didn't have enough content for it to be two separate books, so she made it one book. And you'll see what I mean when I get into some of the specifics. But maybe in spite of that, maybe because of that, I did not know where some of this was going. I was actually very intrigued on how she was gonna make it all come together. Because so many of you guys recommended this, I was really pleasantly surprised that it all ended up coming together. I mean, in a very convoluted way, but still, I was very surprised. Although the main character finding out what the hell is going on in chapter 25 of 30 really, and then we just like have a bunch of action and then it's over. It felt very like rushed. The pacing of this book was completely ridiculous. Honestly, I cannot be held responsible for whatever my hair chooses to do during this video. I would like to get this video over with because I cared about this book very little, if I'm being totally honest. This book is about a girl named Nora Gray who falls in love with a fallen angel. I don't know what that was. Anyway, Nora Gray is a human girl, falls in love with the fallen angel whose name is Patch, that's a dog's name. So no joke, I just spent like 15 minutes trying to film this in categories, and it's not gonna work because all of it's so like entwined and convoluted that you're not going to understand. So because this is only 30 chapters, I'm going to really quick go chapter by chapter and kind of explain why I had issues with what I had issues with. So we get a prologue because this is 2009, so of course we do. It's about an angel who corners a duke in a graveyard, and he's like, you are half fallen angel, half human, so during this unholy Hebrew month I can possess your body, you're gonna come here. And they have like mind powers, and during this scene we see like the Duke guy trying to fight the mental powers, which is really cool, and I actually really liked it. Unfortunately, that is the only time it happens. Every time that our main character Nora gets influenced by the angel powers, she either doesn't know what's happening or has just no reaction to it whatsoever. So that was a fun setup for nothing. Chapter 1, we're going into sex ed class or biology class that's taught by the basketball coach because Mean Girls. Her best friend's name is V, which, hi, me too. And she's like, I wish I could take photos for the school's easy. And I was like, oh, camera phones, oh, easy. And this is real, this is feeling real nostalgic for me. The coach slash teacher is making a new seating chart in April. Later, you could probably chalk that up to the fact that Patch is influencing his mind and using mind control to get to Nora, like to be able to sit by Nora. But at the time, it makes no sense, and it feels like a convoluted way for Becca Fitzpatrick to get the characters to sit together. The basketball coach says human reproduction can be a sticky subject, and I laughed because I was like, this book better not be more funny than it is cringe. And again, it wasn't, so don't worry. She asks his name and he says, call me Patch. I mean it, call me, and then winks at her. I'm like, you're named after a dog. Please don't act like that's sexy at all. They're having to like do this like getting to know you thing, and he says he likes photography, and she's like, what do you take pictures of? And he's like, I take pictures of an Easing colonist who blah blah blah, and then starts describing a bunch of stuff about her, and she's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I have never met you before. And then he's like, I know what your fears are. You're scared of what you can't control. He knows that she plays the cello, which is never mentioned again, by the way. she doesn't want to ask for another partner because she doesn't want to let him win. And at this point, I'm already like, Nora, call the cops. This man just admitted to taking pictures of you, which again never comes back. It's never revealed that if he actually does that or not. I don't know why this conversation happened the way that it did, because it's not like we come across photo evidence again. Like it was a weird like device, but it painted the picture that Patch is a fucking stalker creep. In chapter 1, he writes his number on her palm so that because they run out of time and she needs to get his answers so that she can get a good grade, because it's so important that we get good grades on this getting to know you assignment in April, and that the teacher's gonna check for authenticity. So she's like, I have to get the answers and I can't lie. So he's like, well, call me later. And this is important because then in chapter 18, she's looking for his phone number and she doesn't have it. And I'm like, he gave it to you, but you don't have it anymore? Or you forgot that you already gave it to her, Becca Fitzpatrick? Chapter 2, she's talking about that Patch is closed off, but she liked what she had seen, and then describes like parts of his body. And she says he has a smile that was part playful, part seductive. Nothing about your interaction that I just described was seductive. This reminded me so much of in Crave, last week's video, when Grace was like getting super horny when Jackson was like cornering her and screaming at her. Like, these boys are unhinged. That's not sexy. What a message. What a terrible message. She calls Patch and asks if she asks him to meet up to finish the assignment. The assignment is just asking questions. You could just fucking ask him over the phone. Like, first of all. Second of all, this was the first time I was like, Nora is drinking dumb bitch juice. This man just admitted to stalking you and taking photos of you, and you want to go meet up with him to do an assignment? So he hangs up on her because he's playing pool, and so she starts doing her assignment anyway, and they have to write down facts about their partner. So she writes jerk, and then she writes smoke cigars, will die of lung cancer, hopefully very soon. And then she writes excellent physical shape and then crosses that out, which I thought was very funny. She flips a coin to decide whether she should just stay home or go confront Patch at the pool hall he's at, and the coin tells her to go to the pool hall, so she does dumb bitch juice. Once again, weird metaphor here. She was going super fast, running past the like cashier guy because she didn't want to pay to get in, and she's like, I was a rolling snowball gaining speed and momentum. And I was like, what? Where? How? When were you a snowball? That's a weird thing to say. Patch says he's never been to school before, and Nora's like, you're a liar. And Patch is like, no, I came because of you. And this turns out to be true because he's a fallen angel, and spoiler alert, he's there to kill her. You'll find out later why he needs to kill her or wants to kill her, and why he ends up not wanting to. It's a whole thing. But he's telling her the truth the whole time and giving her like every reason in the world to stay away from him. And it's not clear if he's manipulating her mind or if she's just stupid. A part of that is that their conversations are, they're having conversations with themselves at each other. Everything that they say to one another has nothing to do with what the other person said. And if he was controlling her mind, why not have her say what you want her to say so that you can say what you want to say? Why just not answer her? Like, if he was controlling her mind the whole time, where he was like making her like him and agree with him and whatever, instead of just like her being stupid, like, then I would get that. But chapter 3, she's trying to come up with reasons for Patch not to be her partner anymore. And again, he admitted to taking photos of you. He knows things about you that no one else does. He is basically admitting to stalking you. If the coach won't listen to that, if Patch has got such a mind hold on Patch, go to the principal. Go to somebody who will help you. This boy said he stalks you. Chapter 3 is also where we get a really gross but also kind of sexy exchange. The teacher, the coach guy, is like, Nora, what qualities are you attracted to in a potential mate? And Nora's like not ready to answer that. So Patch is like, oh, intelligent, attractive, vulnerable. The coach is like, how do you indicate if the female's interested? And Patch says, if she's biting her lip and playing with her hair the way Nora is right now. And I was like, and then he says she's game, which I'm like, dude, she's sitting right there. Like, that's fucked. Like, don't, it was just so, it's humiliating. It's humiliating for her. And I feel really bad for her, even if it's like a little bit sexy. She tells Coach she feels uncomfortable sitting by Patch, and he says, not only are you gonna keep sitting by him, but he's doing better with your influence, so you are going to tutor him. Fire this fucking guy immediately. And again, once we find out by like chapter 24, chapter 25, that he's controlling minds and that it's pretty clear that he'd been influencing this coach, that's fine. But at the time when you're reading it, it's despicable. I was honestly thinking, like, I literally wrote, how lazy is this writing, Becca? You couldn't think of any other way for them to spend more time together. But I don't have to worry about that, because the tutoring that this coach is talking about, how he wants Nora to tutor Patch, it never happens. Never happens. Don't know why we had to bring it up. Make me so mad. Never happened. She and V go to the movies called The Sacrifice because they need to write a review for their e-zine. And V says, can you imagine living your whole life without a clue that the only reason you're being kept alive is to be used as a sacrifice? Also, chapter 3, there was a dark magnetism. I felt lured to the edge of danger. At any moment, it felt like he could push me over the edge. Edge twice in the same sentence. Apparently, Crave's editor has been in the game since 2009. V's talking about how hot Patch is and how she's just like jealous that he's Nora's partner in the class. And Nora's like, Patch isn't good for you. And V's like, careful, you'll only make me want him more. And I'm like, I know that I was a freshman in high school when this book came out, but somehow Becca Fitzpatrick time traveled to when I was like a sophomore and a senior in high school and took all of my bad decisions about boys and put them in this character with my same name, and I'm mad about it. They run into Marcy, who is a cheerleader with, quote, half a bottle of foundation on and, quote, 3/4 of an inch between her skirt and her underwear if she was wearing any. Which, yikes. She calls V supersize, which, yikes. She's just being really nasty to V, and V goes, you have food stuck in your teeth. Maybe chocolate X-Lax? It's a lot. Patch ends up being at the library where they are, and he has a book he's checking out, and V's like, I'm trying to read what the title is, How to Be a Stalker, which, LOL. V thinks Patch is following Nora, but she thinks it's kind of hot, which, like, V is a problematic fave, I will admit that. Chapter 4, please remember this is April of the school year. They go to a cafe and meet two guys. One is Elliot, and the other one is Jules, who is 6'10", and Elliot is actually transferring to their school from Kinghorn Prep. He starts that day. That's a total coincidence. Can't possibly be that maybe Elliot and Jules are also angel type dudes who have some kind of beef with Patch, and it's all about Nora somehow. Chapter 4, I'm already ahead of you, Becca Fitzpatrick, like I think any reader is. Patch tells Nora she smells good, and she says it's called a shower. And I laughed. Nora says, I wanted my life to go back to the way it was before Patch barged into my life. And I do not know if it's the delivery of the audiobook narrators that is making these repeating words so obvious, but it's, again, new pet peeve. So V says, you know what we should do to find out if Patch is dangerous or not? We should go read his school file. So Nora takes these iron pills, and she goes to the office with V, and she's like, hey, someone told me I need to register my iron pills. It is April of the school year. She's been popping these suckers multiple times a day out of her backpack for the entire school year. And then the lady at the front desk of the office is like, yeah, you have to register all medications with the nurse. And I'm like, nobody cared that you were just popping pills out of your backpack? Because, like, if I took a Tic Tac out of my backpack in high school, I got sent to the office for, like, drugs. So I don't believe that. So the nurse's office is across from the records hall, so Nora goes in, blah, 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 and V calls in a bomb threat from the payphone outside the school, which, if you don't know what a payphone is, guys, please don't tell me, it'll make me feel really old. And then V comes running in after the bomb threat's called, so she gets all, like, the administrators out of the school because of the bomb threat, and then she comes in and she tries to punch through the window that's in the door of the school records room, but the door's unlocked. So I loved that she was like so into it. She's like, poof, poof, and Nora's like, it's open. So then V leaves her and is like, meet me at the Mexican restaurant up the street and tell me what you find in the file. And Nora's like, okay. Patch works at the Mexican restaurant up the street. I guess I didn't know. V goes to the bathroom. Patch comes and sits down and is like, he calls her Angel, and she's like, did you just call me Angel? I don't like that. And he's like, it stays Angel. And I'm like, dude. And then he wipes the corner of her mouth. She's got lip gloss on. He's like, you look better without that. And, like, Hardin Scott has entered the chat. Stop telling girls they don't need makeup. They like it. And then I guess he, like, asks her on a date or something. And she's like, she says something like, I'm not going with you, not on a date, not alone. And then it says, a hot thrill upon speculating. She got a hot thrill upon speculating what a night alone with Patch would entail. You just committed a crime of breaking into the school records to find out if this guy is like a crazed stalker murderer. but you're still turned on by the idea of being alone with him. So it's a little bit later that I had this realization while reading, but I'm gonna bring it up now. I don't remember being this horny as a 16-year-old girl. I was on antidepressants, so maybe I'm wrong. I was boy crazy. I would never, ever have been alone with the guy who I thought was stalking me. Ever, ever, ever. So then Nora tells him that she looked in his file, which I'm like, Nora, if you're scared of him, don't tell him you spied on him and you're trying to find out. She literally says, I'm gonna expose you, and he says, I look forward to it, because his file was empty, completely empty. Chapter 6, Elliot is in her gym class. She says, the fog seems to clog my lungs. Fog and clog, I don't like that. Elliot calls her Gray, which is her last name, which is a trope I thoroughly enjoy. She hears her name in her mind said in someone else's voice. It is Patch. He's watching them from the gate, and Elliot's like giving her batting lessons, which, okay, Elliot comes up behind her and shows her how to hold the bat, and it just says, let me show you, like this. You feel that? Relax. Excuse me, is this porn? What is happening? Nora's inner monologue says, I told myself I imagined the words because the alternative was considering that Patch had the power to channel thoughts into my mind, which couldn't be, it just couldn't. Had he talked directly to my thoughts, was there some inexplicable link between us that allowed it to happen, or was I losing my mind? This is chapter 6. It's not until chapter 25 that we find out what's actually going on, and like Patch like admits everything, and I'm like, that's too long to wonder if someone's talking to you in your mind. Chapter 7, they're going out, her and V's like, you look like a boy, put some lipstick on, and we find out that Nora isn't wearing any makeup because Patch told her she'd look better without it. Jules is at the arcade that they go to, and she says Jules looks as enthusiastic as 3-day-old meatloaf, which is a very weird metaphor, but I actually really liked it. There's not as many weird metaphors in this book as there were in Crave, so some of them I don't mind so much. V starts stirring the pot between Patch and Elliot, and she's like, oh, like Patch stalks Nora and blah blah blah, and Elliot's like, I'll talk to him if you want me to talk to him for you, like, I'm not afraid. And V is a messy bitch who lives for drama, and I really enjoy it. Nora goes to talk to Patch so Elliot won't start shit, and Nora says he was tall and lean and hard, and I was sure he had street fight scars under his clothes, ... not that I wanted to look under his clothes. She asks what game he's playing, and he says, baseball. You want to stand behind me and give me a few pointers? And he's so jealous of Elliot. It's very fun. Patch is like, did your friends come play pool with me, and I'll answer any questions that you want me to answer? And she punches him in the arm, and he says, careful, they might think we're flirting. Oh, part of me wanted to run away from him screaming fire. The other wanted to see how close I could get without ... combusting. He's talking to her in her thoughts, and then she's like, how do you do that? How do you talk to me in my thoughts? And he's like, you know that sounds crazy, don't you? Oh my god, he is gaslighting the fuck out of her. And then she says, you scare me and you're not good for me, and he says, I could change your mind. Chapter 8, she leaves the arcade, runs into Patch again, and she does not want to talk to him. I don't know what changed in the 4 seconds between talking to him at the arcade and not wanting to talk to him now. Maybe because he's very unnerving, but doesn't stop you ever before. And he's like, if you keep running away from me, you're never going to figure out what's going on. So she's, again, been drinking dumb bitch juice, and she's like, okay, let's talk about it. She mentioned when they got to the pier, the arcade situation, it's like a pier. There's like a big roller coaster called the Archangel, and she was scared of it and didn't want to go on it and doesn't like heights. But then Patch says, let's go on the Archangel, and she's like, I'm not scared of it anymore. I feel safe with him. You do? You do? You do. And again, if he's manipulating her mind, so we've already established that she hears him in his voice talk to her in her mind. So she knows when that's happening. So then if he's manipulating her to feel safer with him so that he can, because you're going to find out at the end, his whole plan all along was to kill her, but then he falls in love with her and he can't do it. So if he's the one that's making her, quote, feel safe enough to go on the Archangel with him, why doesn't she realize that that's not her own thought? Or is she that dumb that it's not him, it's her hormones that are like, you feel safe with this guy because you want to bang him, even though he's clearly stalking you and like is scary. Make it make sense. The Archangel roller coaster has artwork of demons ripping the wings off an angel sitting on a gravestone and watching children, and then an angel possessing a little girl. And this is mega foreshadowing. He says, quote, scared angel, and like, I just hate that he calls her angel. Like, he's an angel, so calling her angel is just like so weird. I don't know, I really don't like it. She says their car flew demonically fast. We get it. Chapter 9, they get off of the thing and V and the other guys have left her, so she has to hitch a ride with Patch and her phone is dead. And at this point I literally wrote, did he kill her phone with angel powers somehow? He takes her home. He rides a motorcycle because of course he does. He takes her home. He has her keys. She's like, how the fuck did you get my keys? He's like, you dropped them. No, she didn't. He's using his like angel powers to like, the key will only turn if he does it. She can't get the key to open. He comes into her house and she's like, don't want you to be here. But he says, he walks in and he's like, said something and she's like, you're not gonna wake anybody up. I'm home alone. And again, there's no indication that like Patch made her say that. It's just that she's stupid. And then she says that her housekeeper will be home soon and she's old but strong, very strong. And at this point I just wrote, Nora, you would be the first to die in a horror movie. He comes inside without her inviting him and he's like, I'm gonna make you tacos. He knows exactly where her kitchen is, walks right to it, which that's fuck no. She is scared of him having a knife in his hand. She literally is like, I stopped short because I saw he had a big ass blade in his hand. But then he's like, come over here, let me teach you how to make tacos. And she's like, okay. And this is the part where I was like, was I this stupid at 16? Would I have literally been like, that man is trying to kill me and he has a knife, better walk over to him and let him show me how to cut a tomato? I really hope I wasn't, but that was 9 years ago, so maybe I was. She's like, did you follow me to the library that day? And he just smiles at her and she's like, oh fuck, I want to kiss him right now. And I'm like, maybe just concentrate on finding out if he's following you and why he knew where your kitchen was in your house and why he knew where to drive you home. And he's like, are you scared? And she's like, no. And then she says, maybe I'm just scared of, and he says, liking me? And she says, yes. And then she's like, wait, no. And then she says, I feel a scary attraction to you. So then he lifts her onto the counter, and this is kind of a hot scene, I'm not gonna lie. Again, in the context, it's not hot, but like if it was in another story, it's super hot. He lifts her on the counter. She says, you should go. And he says, go here. And then he kisses her shoulder and he says, or go here, and kisses her neck. And as he's kissing her neck, her mother calls her and she's like, hey, can I call you back? And her mom's like, sure, what's wrong? And then she hangs up on her mom because she's like too horny to like talk to her mother. It's very funny until you realize that her phone was dead and that's why she couldn't get in contact with V. And so you're like, how the fuck did her mom just call her if her phone was dead? So in chapter 10, V calls her from the same dead phone, and this is when Nora finally realizes, wait, my phone was dead, how is this possible? And V's like, where'd you go? And she's like, Patch took me home because I couldn't find you. And she's like, did you guys kiss? And Nora's like, whatever, I'll see you at 5. And V's like, I'll be there at 4. Circumstances have changed, which I thought was very funny. We get a weird story about Nora's housekeeper's godson playing with her as a child, and they break a glass, and he dared her to lick the broken shard of glass just so she can say falling for Patch would be like licking that shard. It was like the most convoluted, weird, sidetracked way to get to how dangerous it would be to fall in love with Patch, which the reader already knows, because even if Patch is hot, he's stalking her. So like, we know already. And to continue on this same exact path, her and V go to Victoria's Secret. She sees the sexy bras and she's like, oh, sexy, oh, Patch. I shouldn't be thinking about Patch when I see sexy stuff, oh no. Quote, I secretly enjoyed the attraction between us, but the eeriness outweighed it. Ma'am, are you trying to lie to yourself or the reader? Because 1, it's not a secret. 2, I have been screaming at you to have a shred of self-preservation, but you threw it away for tacos. Last chapter. So she keeps saying, oh, I completely skipped over the fact that she hit somebody in V's car, and the guy that she hit was in a ski mask and tried to rip the door off the hinges and like broke the glass. And when she got to V's house to show V what happened to the car, there was nothing wrong with the car. So then she was like, maybe I imagined that, which like, you know, if you imagined hitting a person with your car. So anyway, she sees the same ski mask guy standing outside the Victoria's Secret. So V's like, I'm gonna find out what's up. Give me your coat, give me your umbrella. I'm gonna go like make a diversion and you follow them and see what the fuck is going on. And then cut to V ends up robbed with a broken arm. Chapter 11, this is how we find out that V is in the hospital with a broken arm. She needs surgery. It's like really bad. So Nora feels really bad. She's like, that person thought you were me. Whatever. So she's at school waiting to go see V after school. She goes to the new school psych. There's a new school psychiatrist in April, who's also definitely an angel, by the way. Her name is Miss Green, and Miss Green asked her a lot of questions about Patch, and she's like, all tutoring should be done under adult supervision. I don't want you meeting alone with Patch. And on the surface, I want to say thank you because this is the only adult who has acknowledged how fucking creepy Patch is to Nora. So just say, no, I don't think it's a good idea for you to tutor this boy. I'm gonna go ahead and tell the teachers that you need to stay away from him, and I'll have your seat switched as well. Like, you're a counselor, you should be able to influence that. She goes to the computer lab at the library after school. She's waiting to go see V because V's not out of surgery yet. And she goes to Google Patch, but she can't find anything, not a Facebook, not a MySpace. While she's Googling stuff for something else, it's all very like a long-winded way, she comes across an article about a murder that happened at the prep school that Elliot used to go to, and that Elliot was a main suspect. And when she turns around, Elliot is watching her read this article. And then Elliot starts acting super weird, and he's like, call your mom and tell her that your homework's running late so I can take you to dinner. And she's like, no thank you. He's like, call her. And she's like, fuck you, goodbye. So I'm like, wow, you actually do have self-preservation, just not when it comes to Patch. Chapter 12, Nora goes to visit V in the hospital. V is all drugged up, and this is just the funniest shit ever. She goes into a diatribe about how her doctor has only been eating Easter candy. Nora doesn't get a chance to tell V about Elliot before the drugs kick in super hard, and then Nora's like, fine, I'm leaving, but I brought your homework, where do you want it? And V's like, points to the trash can, which is great. Chapter 13, V's out of the hospital, and she's like, we need to go to the Mexican restaurant where Patch works and interrogate his coworkers. So that we can find out what's up with this guy. But V also invites Jules and Elliot to come with them, and looking back, I guess this is angel manipulation, but if you're like, that makes things so much more complicated. Editing Victoria here. The reason why it was stupid to invite Jules and Elliot is because the whole plan is that Nora is going to change into like this super sexy outfit and wear a wig so no one knows who she is, so then go and flirt with the bartender to get some dirt on Patch. And it's like, so then you invite two guys who already know who she is and have no idea what you're doing. Like, why would you do that? And then Nora is like, so Elliot, if Kinghorn Prep was so great, why did you transfer? Basically challenging this murderer.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Nora goes to the bartender, tries to make conversation about Patch, is very terrible at it, and basically just ends up like, does Patch have a girlfriend? The bartender's like, go ask him yourself. He picked up a shift tonight. Patch confronts her in the girl's bathroom, and he's like, are you following me? And I was like, pot kettle, bitch. Chapter 14, she says that Nora's mom blinked owlishly, which I've never heard before, and I don't like it. Nora goes to tell her mom about the guy in the ski mask that's been following her and that hurt V, and then her mom is like, saying stuff about like their farmhouse is too expensive and she's gonna have to take a local job and stop traveling for work and make less money. And Nora's like, I don't want to lose our house, so I'm not gonna tell her. And I'm like, you might lose your life, bitch. Your life. Ski mask guy ends up in her room, and she calls the cops, and then ski mask guy is gone. He had destroyed her room, but then when the cops come, it's all put back together. And I wrote, is Nora going insane, or is this angel shit? And that's when I realized, unfortunately, I think this book would be so much more interesting if I didn't already know that Patch was a fallen angel. And I don't know if that's my bad, or if the back of the book would let you know, because I obviously didn't have a back of the book, I audiobooked it, but the cover is of an angel. So like, I'm assuming that you know right off the bat, the reader knows this is about a fallen angel. If I didn't know that, I would have thought that Elliot, Patch, Jules were like serial killers or something, and they had fucked with Nora's iron tablets, because she takes them in front of Patch in class once. I would have thought that they messed with them and like drugged her somehow to make her like start to go insane so that they could like play with her. Like, I really thought it was like a Scream situation, or that like these guys were involved. They keep bringing up that her dad was murdered, and I kept thinking like, did these guys murder her dad? Is it all like part of a plan to like get to her because of something? Because the summary I read said like a dark connection to Nora. Patch had a dark connection. I was like, did he murder her dad? Like, is this gonna be a whole thing? Like, that might have been a more interesting book. Chapter 15, Nora finally tells V about the article she read about Elliot, and V's like, I don't think he's the ski mask guy. And Nora's like, well, then why did he transfer schools after he was questioned about the murder? And it's like, because he was questioned about a murder. I'm sure it's really hard to like engage with your peers and focus in class when a suspected murderer is in the classroom with you. It is at this point that I realize I actually have no idea where this book is going, because I really don't understand how they're going to tie the girl who got murdered at Kinghorn and Elliot and Jules being weird, because Jules is always getting sick and leaving, and Jules is rich, but he spends a lot of time with Elliot. There's all these things coming up, like all this like, wait a minute, I just realized, wait a minute, I just realized. And I was like, I have no idea how you're going to tie all this together. And that's when I started to worry that I was going to read this 30 chapter book and none of it was going to come together, and all this was a pointless side thing. Coach makes V and Patch switch places because they were doing some kind of free work, but then he's like, V and Nora are talking too much, Patch, come over here and work with Nora, of course. and he's like, did you have a fun Saturday night doing homework? And she's like, I didn't do homework. And he says, who did you do? She's like, bro, come on. She goes to her appointment with Miss Green, and somehow Miss Green knows that Patch took her home from the pier and that Patch went into her house. Sorry, if my school psychologist knew that someone took me home and like knew that he went into my house, that means she was fucking watching you. These people are stalking you, Nora. She literally says something about Miss Green bothered me. It was almost like she had an agenda. Chapter 16, Nora runs into Marcy at the library, and Marcy says V got attacked because someone mistaked her for a bear or a moose because she's so fat. And so then they have a back and forth name calling thing where Nora calls Marcy a skank, a slut, an anorexic pig, and it's a whole thing. And then it ends up a little bit later that Marcy ends up getting her ass beat this night. And the cops suspect Nora because the security guard heard them having an argument. So this is why we had to have this argument. That's another thing, actually, while I'm on the topic of Marcy. There are some characters in here that are so unnecessary. Like, when you find out why Elliot acts the way that he acts and what it has to do with Jules, you're going to be like, why didn't Jules just do it himself? Why do we have to have Elliot and this girl and then Marcy in it? Marcy's only there to get beat up. Like, there's no reason for her to be there either. Like, there's an Irish man that Patch hangs out with that's also a fallen angel that doesn't need to be there at all. It's like this book is already convoluted enough to add all these extra characters for no reason. Like, Elliot and Jules could have been one person. Nora cuts through an underground tunnel to the parking lot even though she walked to the library. So I don't know why she was walking to the parking lot. She did not drive to the library. Patch is there in the tunnel. His smile looked like he didn't play by the rules. There's a quote, was it a coincidence that the last normal day in my life had been right before that fateful day? When she met Patch, but like, editor, fight me. She lets him take her home on the motorcycle again, and I'm starting to feel like I'm reading After, where the same shit keeps happening over and over and over for no reason. And this book was only 30 chapters, and you repeat things a lot. And I'm just, who edited this? He asks her out, so then chapter 17 starts with her getting ready for the date with him, and the whole time she's thinking about like, kissing him, not kissing him, kissing him, not kissing him, when I'm like, you should be focused on him answering your questions, because she was asking him questions in the parking garage and he wouldn't answer her, and then turned the conversation on her and was like, let me take you home, and she was like, okay, fine. Like, and again, if he was manipulating her mind using these amazing powers that come up conveniently and then go away conveniently, this would make more sense. They go on their date, it's like fine, we meet this Irish guy I was just talking about, and they're play fighting, and he rips Patch's shirt, and then we see that he's got the same scars as the fallen angels on the Archangel have. He leaves her, chapter 18, he leaves her in his Jeep to go get food, and she starts looking around in the Jeep, and she's like, maybe I'll find his phone number. And that's when I was like, you already had his phone number, did you just forget it? Or like, what happened? Did Becca Fitzpatrick forget that you already had it? She looks in his glove box, he has a metal flashlight with what looks like blood on the butt of it, and so she's like, oh, he beat up Marcy. And then he pulls out a gun when he gets in the car. She's like, I found the flashlight in your car, in your glove compartment. And he pulls up this gun, and she screams, and he's like, it's a paintball gun. Like, there's just paint on the flashlight because it was the flag and capture the flag. Just so like stupid. That's stupid. Chapter 19 is when we start to do complete character assassination of V. Nora's on the phone with V. V's like, how did the date go? And Nora says something about him giving pool pointers, and V's like, I bet he could give you other pointers, ha ha ha. And then she's like, but seriously, Nora, like, I do think he was the one in the ski mask. I really think that you should, like he's really scary. And I'm like, so do you want your friend to fuck this guy who potentially broke your arm or not? Please make a decision. And again, if she's being influenced by the other angel in this story, which I'm gonna get to, make that clear. But it's just straight up character assassination. It just said, like, they both cannot decide if he's scary or hot. And I understand there can be conflicting emotions, but don't encourage your friend to get sex tips from the guy and then in the next sentence be like, he's probably the one that's been stalking you and broke my arm. She says, my voice was strewn with cobwebs, which is like the weirdest thing I've ever heard. She goes on their home computer and Googles angel wing scars. And like, why did every YA protagonist in the early aughts Google their supernatural love interest? Then we get a whole info dump about the unholy Hebrew month and how there's Nephilim, which are half fallen angel, half human, and how the angels can come, and there's different kinds of angels and all this and all that. And then Nora's like, I thought everything away that I had just read in a file in my mind and stamped scary on it. Chapter 20, Elliot shows up to her house drunk, punches the wall beside the door, rips her out of the door, throws her against the side of the house, and is like, you're gonna go camping with me and V and Jules, being a fucking psycho. And then thank God Nora's mom wakes up, so he leaves. And then V calls her and is like, did you hear we're going camping with Jules and Elliot? And she's like, Elliot just came to my house and like almost beat the shit out of me, and it's like was really scary, and he was wasted. And she's like, and then V goes, well, he was drunk. Like he didn't mean it. He was just drunk. That's when I was like, please tell me she's being influenced by the angel power thing, because like if not, that's fuckery. Chapter 21, she goes to Portland to investigate Kinghorn Prep, but she never gets there. She gets hustled out of her coat and her hat by a homeless lady, and then like minutes later that homeless lady gets shot again because someone thought that she was Nora. But then the body's gone, and I don't know if the lady lived or if like it was angeled away, because the angels seem to just make things not real. I don't know what happened. She calls Patch from a payphone. Patch picks her up. The Jeep breaks down. It's pouring rain. They have to like run to this hotel. They get a room. The lights are out. The power's out. So they have to be like in this room. She's only got like her underwear on because all her clothes are soaked. There's only one bed. It's all very sexy, very sexy. But this is chapter 22. And this is when I get the bad feeling that we're in sequel bait territory, because I was like, there's no way that Becca Fitzpatrick is going to be able to wrap this whole story up in 8 chapters. She does. In chapter 22, or chapter 23 actually, Nora touches Patch's scars and gets like sucked into a flashback where we see Miss Green, the school psychologist, talking to Patch, and we find out Patch and Miss Green were together as angels. Miss Green is also an angel, which called it. Patch fell to earth because he lusted after a human girl. He got his wings ripped off. And she's like, I know how you can be an angel again. You have to save someone from dying. I'm an angel of death. Let me tell you who's on the list. And she says Nora's name. And then Patch is like, well, who's gonna kill her? Like, tell me who's gonna kill her and I'll stop them. And she's like, you. So then Nora comes out of the flashback and Patch is like, pins her on the bed and is like, like they're fighting, and then she's like, is Dabria your girlfriend? Dabria is Miss Green's name. She's like, is Dabria your girlfriend? And I'm like, you just found out this man is a creature from heaven who fell to earth and needs to kill you, and you care about if he has a girlfriend or not. Then we find out some more stuff because she touches his scars again, that he's read, there's this book that the angels have called the Book of Enoch, and it turns out if you kill a female descendant of your vessel, which is who you take control of, the Nephilim you take control of, if you kill one of their female descendants, you can become a human. So Nora is the female descendant of Chauncey, the guy from the prologue, and so Patch is like, I gotta kill his female descendant and then I can be a human being. But he's tried to kill her. He said, he's like, I tried to kill you on the Archangel, because she has a whole moment on the Archangel where she's literally like, I'm falling out, I'm dying, and then nothing is happening. And he's like, no, I tried to kill you and then I couldn't go through with it. I tried to kill you in your house when I was cutting those tomatoes and I couldn't do it. He's like, I just can't do it, and I really want to be human because I feel through like a sheet of glass. He was like, I can see you and you can see me and you can feel me, and I know you're touching me, but I can't feel. And I want to be a human so I can feel. Nora is the key to both him becoming a guardian angel or him becoming human, and it depends on if he kills her or saves her from being killed. So I thought that was interesting, but again, that happens in chapter 24. So would have been cooler to get to sit with that information a little bit longer than 6 chapters. Nora mentions knowing Dabria, being like, she's my school psychologist, and Patch is like, I did not know she was still on Earth. That's fuckery. So then Nora's like, I think that she's the ski mask person, because I was pretty sure it was a girl. So we've thought that Patch was the ski mask person, we've thought Elliot was the ski mask person, and now we think that Dabria is the ski mask person. Chapter 25, Patch takes Nora home finally. He checks the house, there's nobody in there. As soon as Nora goes in there, Dabria is there. She's gonna kill Nora because she loves Patch and she wants Patch to come back to heaven. And she's like, he won't come if he can become human, and if he kills you then he can become human, so I have to kill you first so he won't become human, so he'll come back to heaven. She's going full angel. She's like glowing, using telekinesis, setting the house on fire, trying to kill Nora. Patch comes back and he gives her the keys to the Jeep, and he's like holding off Dabria, and he's like, go drive to the pier, but she drives to the movies instead because she's looking for V. Yeah, chapter 26, she goes to the movies and is like hiding out from Patch in the movie theater. Patch finds her and Patch like drags her into the bathroom and they have a whole conversation about like, I'm not good, but I was worse and I wanted to kill you, but you're worth falling for, falling from heaven, falling from grace, and falling in love with. I don't want to kill you anymore, which great, I'm so glad. And then they start making out in this bathroom in the movie theater. And her phone rings again. V's on the phone. She's like, hey, me and the guys working at the school are playing hide and seek. Do you want to come? And then Elliot gets on the phone and he's like, you better come or there's a tree in the courtyard with V's name on it. And the way that the girl at Kinghorn had died was being hung from a tree. So Nora's like, we gotta go save V. And Patch is like, all right, I'll help you. And this is the point where I was like, listen to me. If these two plots have nothing to do with each other, I'm gonna rip my hair out. I'll be so pissed if I read all of this and they don't intersect. Chapter 27, Nora's like, yeah, it's Elliot and Jules and V. And Patch is like, who's Jules? And he's like, the other guy that was at the arcade with us. And he's like, I don't remember another guy being at the arcade. And I'm like, Jules isn't, at this point, it's like, Jules is the angel. Jules is the one who's an angel. Jules is using the angel powers to be invisible to Patch. That's why Jules was always getting sick and not showing up to places because he knew Patch would be there. Chapter 27, Patch tells Nora to stay in the car. Chapter 28, Nora gets out of the car to go look for Elliot. Dumb bitch juice. Oh man. So she's like running around in the dark in the school. She finds Elliot basically dead in the library because Elliot's not the bad guy. Elliot's being controlled by Jules. Jules is the alien, Jules is the angel. He throws her in the biology classroom. Jules really wants to hurt Patch, but of course we just found out 2 chapters ago that Patch can't be hurt because he feels through a sheet of glass. So he's using Nora to hurt Patch because Jules is Chauncey. So for hundreds of years, Patch has been possessing Jules during the unholy Hebrew month and taking over his body and like using him to be human for hundreds of years. So Jules is fucking pissed. Of course he is. So he's like, I can't hurt Patch, but Patch loves you, so I'm gonna hurt you. She stabs him with a scalpel. He passes out. She finds V in the easing lab. They both run off in opposite directions once Jules is like back up and chasing them. She runs into the gym. She's locked in the gym. Jules shows up with a gun. And then he's like, I beat up Marcy because I didn't want anybody else messing with my girl, which I thought was like really creepy. Patch finds them. Jules holds her at gunpoint and Patch possesses Nora basically so that Nora can beat the shit out of Jules using like Patch's energy. But that is really hard on him. So he passes out and Nora's like, only way I'm gonna get out of here is if climb up to the rafters and like go through the skylight. She's really scared of heights, so Jules starts fucking with her, making her think the ladder is falling down, and Patch like pushes back into her mind. So again, she hears Patch's voice when Patch is fucking with her mind. So all the time she was being stupid, she did not mention hearing Patch. So that makes me think Patch was not manipulating her mind, that she was just stupid. So let's just reiterate that. So she and Jules are like up in the rafters and he's like, I don't care if you die or if I kill you, but either way, like you need to go. Like, I don't want him to become human. I want him to suffer. And then she's like, wait a second, like if I sacrifice myself and like kill and die, then according to the book of Enoch, like Patch will be human because I'm sacrificing myself for him. And I'm like, that's not what it said. It said that he had to kill you. So you jumping off this is doing nothing. But I guess she does the sacrifice. She does die, but Patch does not accept her sacrifice. Chapter 30, we find this out. He's like, I didn't accept it. I saved you. And that makes me a guardian angel. So now I'm your guardian angel. I have wings. You can't see them. Okay. V and Elliot are fine. The police think Jules killed himself in the gym. All of it wrapped up in a neat little bow. The book ends with Nora's mom being like, I want to get a security system because of all this weird shit that's happened, because she came home to find the house like burned down because of Dabria, and she's like, what the hell's going on? Patch shows up with like a toolbox and he's like, I'm here to do some specs for your security system. This is my job, which I don't, what? And then he's like, hey Nora, can we talk outside? And she's like, sure. She goes outside with him and the book ends with him giving her a kiss and she says, more? And he says, more? And she says, more. And that's how the book ends. That might have been like the most nothing book I've ever read.
If it was the most nothing book you ever read, how did you record an entire hour complaining about it?
It actually makes me want to write this story, like rewrite this entire book, but no fallen angel shit, and just like have Nora being like having a psychotic break because of the death of her father, and having like these guys manipulating her because they killed her dad because her dad was involved in shady shit. Now they're after her, and like they're serial killers, and like it has nothing to do with angels. Like it just felt like she wrote a different book, like just a mystery thriller type book. And the publishers were like, yeah, but supernatural creatures are really a thing right now, so can we shoehorn some supernatural stuff into here real quick, just real soon? Doesn't even have to make sense. We can all blame it all on mind control, even though like we sometimes show evidence of the mind control and sometimes we don't. Like we can just say it's all mind control and then no one will care because it's 2009 and we just read whatever we're told. So that was Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick. I thought we were gonna find out why it was called Hush Hush. We did not. We're going to be doing interspersing my cringe reviews with another series. I have never read the Percy Jackson books, and I bought them, and I would like to vlog reading them for the first time. So I'm going to kind of alternate between the two. So please stay tuned. Again, follow me on social media if you want to know when I'm going to be posting, because I try to tell you guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.